Did you
Well,
work for Biamp? Did I read?
I did. I was the Northwest region sales rep for Biamp for almost 19 years.
Around 1970, I was the largest SUNN amplifier dealer in the world. I bought them by truckloads.
Oh my goodness.
I loved that amplifier, and I had a retail music shop, which really to many was coined the rock and roll capital of America. I mean, everybody from the Dead to Frampton, Walsh, these guys would all come to Marissa so I could help them design their sound system. Became really good friends. But the Sun thing, I got rid of my music retail in 74, but I kept it going because in actually 69, we started building and we had 35 people building all kinds of mixers and amplifiers and all that. But one of the guys at Sun, well, it all started off with they had their amplifier was actually a copy of the Dynakit, right down to the chrome chassis and all that. And I just loved them. I mean, they were fabulous things. And the only problem was their situation was they didn't have a PA system. They took a they took a guitar amp and put four phone jacks in it, and that was their PA. I would stay at his house and go out and spend time in Beaverton with him and his wife, and we came up with the mixer, and did other things for them. I can't remember his last name. Anyway, why I'm talking about this is he left there, and I understood he kind of started or one of the startups of Biamp. Yeah, we worked very closely with Sun. I love their stuff. And the mixer, this was crazy. The mixer that I designed, Dick would Dick would do one piece of it, and then he would give it to me, send it to me, and I would put it together. Just the modules because it was all modular. I wanted it to be modular, and that worked out really well. But then when we started building it, why the first prototype was done on vector board. I built it right here, vector boards, all of it. He built the chassis and all of the metal work, and we put it all together, and it worked really good. I did a couple local jobs, and I get this call one day from a guy. He said, "I hear you got a big PA." And I said, "Well, yeah, pretty good size." Yeah, well, I hear that it's really good and we need it. We need it tomorrow night in Boston. I said, "No, that's not possible. Because I'm using this prototype out on the road, okay? I mean, that's the only way to test it for me." We were doing Chaka Khan because she was using one of my talk boxes. She was one of our talk box artists. And we were in Chicago, and this guy said, well, he was just very demanding. You have to be here tomorrow. You got to be here at 3 o'clock for sound check. I said, well, now wait a minute. Who the hell are you? He said, we're the Who. I said, no, who are you? Ah, damn it, we're the Who, the band. Oh, well, who are you? He said, I'm the manager, the tour manager. I, oh, okay. I said, well, I can't really do that. Said, what do you mean you can't do it? I said, well, I'm doing a thing in Chicago. I'm on tour at Chaka Khan. Well, find somebody to pick it. I need you bad. Because if you don't bring that system here, the Who is going to quit. They've had it. Is they brought over some measly little columns that are about 4 foot tall. They bought 8 of them to fill 20,000 seat halls. But in the 4 years they hadn't been here, I was a big leader in that, bringing PA from this to that, and working with Garcia and the Dead and all that. It was just incredible years, and we flew that system to Chicago that night, and got in there the next afternoon, and they loved it. I was with them for 6 years, but that first, oh, it would have been 2 months of touring with them, was that mixer vector board. You never know it because it was all pretty and all that kind of stuff. That mixer now sits in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay, so is that the centerpiece of your exhibit there?
Well, it's piece of it. One of the big centerpiece is the quadraphonic console that we built for Townsend for Quadrophenia.
Tell me about that. What was that all about?
We had done 2 years on the road, and we're going to take a year break. And he called me one day shortly after. He said, "Get over here. I want to talk to you. I got an idea." This was 73. And he said, I go over, we're sitting in his studio up on the second floor of his home on the Thames. And he said, "You know, quad sound is big right now. And I'm working on this opera of 4 guys. You think you could build a sound system that we could move Roger's voice around an arena?" No, it was not in my vocabulary. And so we were just, ironically, so many things in my life just fit together. It was wonderful and still is. But I had been working with a sister company of ours, IES, International Entertainer Services, in London. We built identical systems. So like he had artists like Pink Floyd and some of that. When he come to America, he didn't have to bring his big boxes. He just brought his front end. And when we went over there with the Who and Humble Pie and all that, we just took our front end and it worked really well. He had this great engineer, Bill Hoff, and we had started working on a mixer. Nobody had built a mixer for live sound touring. All kinds of junk out there, but nobody really did it. And it just so happened that we were in weeks of finishing it when I was over there with Townsend and he wanted to do this. And I told him the story. I said, "We'll be ready." He said, and I'll never forget this, as I went out the front door, big hug and all that, and "We'll see you back in America." He said, "You go build that system. I'll go finish writing it." And now he could see it in production. Those were fun days, and I really was fortunate. But that mixer, that big one, the Mavis, that was IES's his wife's name, called it the Mavis. There was 15 channels. It was an amazing piece and still is. And that's what we did Quadrophenia with.
Did that end up being a one-off?
We built 4 of them. It was built like a battleship, and we never had a problem. We had one problem one time, but I had, when I was building it, one of the things was about the power supply. And Bill Hoff said, "Well, we'll do a 24-volt rail." I said, "No, let's not do that." He said, "Why?" I said, "Let's do a 30-volt with 2 15 volts plus or minus." I said, "Let's do it that way." He said, "Why would you want to do that?" I said, "Well, for backup." "What do you mean?" I said, "If you ever lose the power supply, you could do it with a couple of car batteries. It wouldn't have the headroom, but we wouldn't have to shut the show down." Yes.
You never had to actually do that, I hope.
Yes, we did. We were doing an outdoor thing. Randy called me, my lead guy, and he said, "We are in big, deep trouble." I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "These idiots fed 220 volts to the stage and they have blown up everything. And the Mavis is gone." I said, "Well, I don't think so." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Well, you go out and you get 2 car batteries out of the trucks." And I told him how to wire them. One would be plus minus, one would be minus plus. I said, "Here's what you got to do. Take the red one, put on the Leo, put the yellow on the green, dot, dot, dot." And it worked.